Hey guys, welcome to the Touchdown Table. I'm Ryan, that's Tyler, that's Jordan. In this video, we're going to be talking about a huge thing that just happened in the NFL world, and that is the passing of the new collective bargaining agreement. Obviously, this was a huge topic as we enter the early stages of the offseason. Many players speaking out against it, some for it, mixed opinions from the fans and the professional analysts. And it finally got passed. The vote was close. It passed by a vote of 1,019 to 959, so it was very close.
It's a lot closer than I expected, too.
Yeah, it was really close, but it passed, and changes are going to be made. There's going to be a 17-game regular season starting not this coming season, but the year after. 7 teams from each conference will make the playoffs starting right now, this season. And then there's also some new changes with player revenue share and some of the drug testing policies. So, obviously, a lot of changes to our wonderful game and our wonderful league. What do we make of it?
Let's start off with the positives here from a fan perspective of things. I think we can all agree that the 17th game makes things more competitive, although we're going to get to the end of the year and be saying, all right, well, here's the 9-8, it's just going to be weird,
Mm-hmm.
You're so used to, we can't have that perfect 8-8 record anymore.
Gotta go 8-1 now.
You can't be exactly average anymore.
Yeah, unless you go 8-1.
We're gonna have some new records, but that's still not exactly average. You know what I mean? So it's just it's gonna be weird to adjust to this whole thing.
Yeah.
But in all, I do like the new CBA.
Yeah, I do as well. And building off of that, the 17th game, again, it's not this coming year. We're gonna have one more year of 16 games. Then the 17th game will come in the 2021 season. Remember, they're also getting rid of a preseason game, so it's going to be 3 preseason games and 17 regular season games. So if you think about it, it's kind of still 20 games, preseason and regular season, just more of them count.
Well, but usually in week 4 of the preseason, most starters are playing anyways.
And really, I think teams are going away playing their starters in preseason at all.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You just kind of took my thunder from me.
My bad.
I'm not you, Tyler.
Oh, sorry.
My bad. Even though I was already talking, you interrupted me to
It's not how you say.
Can't help it. So I was going to say that the main thing with that is, I'll restate what he said because I was going to say it and make that point after, that the actual starters aren't going to be playing in preseason much or at all possibly for some teams. So adding another game to the regular season does put more wear and tear on their bodies since they're not really playing in the preseason game anyways, most likely, at least for most people. Some teams don't have their players play at all in preseason. Some teams, do whatever they want. But that was just my thoughts on it. So some players don't like it because they don't want to have that extra wear and tear. But some other players are big fans of it, especially the ones who aren't getting as much money in all their contracts and stuff like that because they have the extra game check from that. Yeah, that extra game check, it means a lot more to them than it would with the Russell Wilsons.
Yeah.
And I'm adding on to your point. I wasn't done speaking. Sorry. You gotta let me finish here. Just go. That's all I had to say.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I was gonna say too.
Well, I'll chime in then.
Yeah,
so
please.
with the 17th game, I think another thing, and we've kind of touched on a few things, it'll be more teams obviously are going to be playing competitive down the stretch, as that kind of goes hand in hand with the new expanded playoff. More competitive games late in the year. But what I was really wondering, what I've been thinking about a lot is scheduling. Like, what is that 17th game? Like, how do they decide who you play? Because one thought
right now it's you play everyone in your division, you play 2 other divisions, and then you play kind of 2 other random teams, I think, right?
Yeah, and the 2 other random, it's
those are based on what your record from last year. So
it's like the same team. It's like if you finish second in your division, you play the other second place teams in your conference from the previous year. Yeah. But this 17th game, an idea that I had, maybe you kind of go try and make it like a rivalry thing, where maybe say you guys are Bears fans. Maybe you guys would play the Packers a 3rd time in Week 17 and you'd switch up between Lambeau and Soldier Field or something like that. That's just an idea.
I'm not just play a team 3 times in the season.
And that's also what I thought of too. But then how else? You can't just say you just draw teams out of the hat.
That would be a fun idea.
And it's just so many things that this league is going to have to discuss, and that the owners are, I'm sure, going to discuss a lot. It's just, what do you do with that 17th game? I like the idea of its existence, but do you make a rivalry? Do you do random teams? Do you do AFC versus NFC? Because I really think you want to keep.
And that's why
I like how you have Week 17. I like the division games in Week 17. I think you should keep that. So I really don't know what route they're going to go with that.
Yeah, and because of the confusion, that's why it's not starting this season. They're waiting till they have time to think of stuff for next season, get all that settled, which is good.
Yeah, it is good. Now let's talk about the playoff portion of it.
Yeah.
Because this is where it gets very confusing because it's completely different. It's not just taking away a game and adding a game. It's now with the new rules, only one team in each conference gets the bye, the number 1 seed. The 2 seed that would normally be there does not get their bye.
Yeah.
So it makes it more competitive to get the 1 seed as well. That adds another game onto the playoffs. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I have my opinions on the new
State
playoff
'em.
format. I'm not a huge fan of it completely. I think that I don't think as many teams as it would be in it should be making the playoffs. Right now it's at 14. That's almost half the league. Half the league would be 16 teams. So it'll be letting one more from each conference in. But I don't like that. I think that's just too many teams. And if you look back to last year, the Steelers and the Rams would have made the playoffs. I don't think either of those teams really deserve to even be in the playoffs. That's how it is to me. I think you shouldn't be able to get into the playoffs if you didn't put up the season to do so. Yes, the Steelers and the Rams had okay seasons, but they didn't put up anything super special. I mean, it's the playoffs. It's not just like, hey, you did all right during the season. Now let's go try to win it because you did all right. But now, go ahead. You can't just do that to people. You have to take them out. I'm not a big fan of that. I just don't like it.
In the NFL, though, this is a league where Ryan was talking about it before. There's other leagues that have over half the teams making the playoffs. We're still not even at that point. And especially with the NFL, like I was trying to get to before I mentioned that. It's so competitive, especially once you get to those later months. Anything can happen. I know we've been seeing a lot of the 1 seeds making it to the Super Bowl. But on any given day, you can see teams go out there and beat a number 1 seed. For example, the Titans. But what they did in the playoffs, were they really going to go and beat the Patriots? They did that. Okay, now they're playing the number 1 seed Ravens. They're able to do that. It opens up possibilities for crazy story from a fan's perspective, and I'm excited for something like that to happen.
Yeah, and I think that what this new playoff format does, it kind of brings in the middle ground of both of what you guys are saying. Jordan, you're saying more of we need these quality teams. We can't just expand to say, oh, everyone come on into the playoffs. I get that, but I still think 14. I think this has to be the cap. I say no more than 14, but 14 out of 32. You're still under half. That's lower than half. That's lower, as Tyler mentioned, than like the NHL and NBA. More than half of the teams in those leagues make the playoffs. So I still think it's a good number. And then as Tyler was kind of saying, it's just more fun, more opportunities for Cinderella stories, for these huge upsets. And honestly, like, you look at Wild Card Weekend, you're going to have 2 consecutive days with 3 football games. Like, that is awesome. You know, fans are going to love it. You're going to have a 12 o'clock game, a 3 o'clock game, a 6 o'clock game, whatever. That's going to be a fun weekend, whether your team's in it or not. And truthfully, I just think that it's a good number. And I think that, sure, maybe this year you look at that whole situation with the AFC, how that played out, you say, okay, maybe, you know, Jordan, kind of to your point, was there really a playoff-worthy team? Maybe not. NFC, I don't think it would have been horrible to let the Rams in. You know, I think they had some potential.
They didn't play well enough all season.
You're just saying that because you picked them.
No, let me be clear. I think that
they didn't put up a bad season, but they sure did not put up a playoff season.
Yeah, he's okay. But this is an exception to a lot of the times where you can see good teams.
Yeah.
That missed the playoffs and really had a chance to do something. A team, let's say the Titans, last year, how they I know they made the playoffs, but let's say they start doing really well towards the end of the season. But since they just couldn't get that going right away, they're just so
that's
close.
Their fault for not playing good at the beginning of the season.
There.
You can't just
but
reward them.
As a fan, don't you want to see a team going that much?
I don't.
To have a chance at it, to see if they can take it in the postseason.
Play good all season. That's how it works. You don't just do good at the end of the game. You have to play a full good season, especially in the game of football. I was talking about this before. You talked about the NBA and the NHL having more than half the other teams in the playoffs. But the thing with those 2 leagues is they play so many more games than the NFL does. NFL, now you can 16 or 17, whatever you want to say, they're playing that range. This year it's going to be 16, and then after that it's going to be 17. But I'm not sure how many games the NBA and the NHL play, but 82. That's definitely 82 for both of them.
Yeah,
that's a lot more games, so it's just a lot more chance to just make these runs. So I don't know, the playoffs has to be different. That's why there's more teams in that, just because there's more games played. I think that's something that is a factor as well. In the NFL, there's less games played, so kind of you need to take advantage of all those games and win them all. And if you don't do that, then guess what? You're not making the playoffs.
Well, I think you kind of made an interesting point there because you kind of made the point that maybe the amount of games kind of correlate to the amount of playoff spots. So maybe the NFL went and they said, okay, we're adding another regular season game. So hypothetically, each regular season game is going to mean just a little bit less. So then maybe they kind of went with that and said, okay, let's add another playoff spot because we're adding this extra game.
No, I don't think so. I don't
Well,
think
you just said that the amount of...
I do understand that, but I don't think one more game has that huge difference and does that. I was making the point that that's why the other teams would have more than half.
And then another thing I just want to point out, there are definitely years I recall where there's a 10-6 team that gets left out of the playoffs, and you think, man, they just played well, they deserve to get in. I remember one year it was the Cardinals, that they went 10-6 and they missed the playoffs. And it was a while ago, but a while back when the Cardinals were good with Carson Palmer. There were a couple other instances, even teams that, look, like Tyler mentioned, no one expected the Titans to go to the AFC title game, but that's what makes football so great. It's any given Sunday, any given game, you just go out there, that's why they play the game. I do not like this because you think that just a 2 seed is going to beat the 7 seed in a blowout every single time.
No, I don't think that. I just don't think that all these teams deserve to make it into the playoffs. We talked about the Titans, and I know we're kind of getting repetitive at this point, but just because you had a good run at the end of the season, in the NFL, there's less games. You have to play good all 17 games. If you don't play good all 17 games, guess what? You shouldn't be rewarded for that. You shouldn't make the playoffs. It's that simple to me.
I kind of last year, there were 12 teams that went 7-9, or 7 to 9 games, so that's either 7, 8, or 9 games.
Mm-hmm.
You get to what's going to be week 18 next year.
Yeah.
I think, as a fan, why would you not want to watch these teams compete in the last week of the NFL with all these teams that have a similar record? But then Ryan said you can go to a Cinderella story, and if they can beat these teams in the playoffs, then they really do deserve it.
Exactly.
No.
Yeah,
I'm not a believer.
That's what football is all about. Is you can go out there on any given day and win a football game. Why not give these guys chances, especially for guys that are teams that are really starting to pick it up towards the end of the season? You go, oh, that's a playoff team right there. They just didn't get things going right away.
And another thing, more teams are in it to the end. I think that it's going to help TV ratings go up. I think more fans are going to stay engaged throughout the course of the year because their team is still going to be mathematically in it. It's going to be more fun playing with the ESPN playoff machine down the stretch. More teams are going to be in it. There's going to be more meaningful regular season action.
You guys are talking about the fan perspective. I'm talking about the logistics of all that.
There's a lot of
as a player,
and as a player too, who doesn't want to have a better chance to make the playoffs and win the Super Bowl? And literally,
you should
that's
be
why you
playing
play
good
football
all season.
As a 2 seed, that's the only thing. As a player, I'd be like, that's kind of bogus. We did so good, but now we're just maybe we lost a tiebreaker to this team or one behind them. We have a 13-3 record and we don't even get a bye. That is kind of bogus. I can give you that, Jordan.
And adding on to that, the tiebreaker thing I think was a part of why they wanted to add the 7th seed because. Say maybe there's a team that goes 9-7 and another team that goes 9-7, but that second team gets left out because of the record in conference games. Like that, I mean, obviously it's the rule, but sometimes you might feel like that team was truly better than the team that got that spot. But just the tiebreaker, you got to do what you got to do. I think there's been situations like that in the past, so I just think it was kind of also stuff like that, so you don't have to do stuff to those types of teams, that just kind of get on the short end of the stick with the tiebreakers. That's another factor too, because there definitely have been some weird situations like that. And like I said, we want meaningful football games, packed stadiums, high TV ratings, all the way through week 17 or week 18, whenever it's going to be. That's what I think. More meaningful games, more fan bases engaged.
I think it's more you're making the point that it's more meaningful for these other teams, but it's also more meaningful to teams when there's less. I mean, even in the other playoff games before, you look back to last year, it was meaningful to try to get all these teams in the playoffs. It was meaningful for the Titans. It was meaningful for the Steelers and the Rams who had a shot at it, although not a huge shot. I think it was mainly just the Steelers. Even the Raiders were in there too. Well. It was all meaningful at that point, and maybe.
But it gets more meaningful once you add that.
And the chances will be higher.
18 game, and
And like that
Raiders, I said, those 12 teams that I talked about.
I understand
that,
but I still don't think.
Okay. So let me ask you something. Is 12 teams, 6 from each conference, is that too much?
12 teams?
12 teams total, 6 from each conference, what we have.
That's what we have, yeah.
I'm asking you, do you think that is too much? Do you think they should have gone the other way?
I think that was fine.
But why did the Titans get in? Because they didn't play well for the first half of the year. They just got good at the end.
because they got in. They played well enough.
And you could say that for the exact same thing if there was an 18.
If you're that
season.
good and you're playing that good at the end of the season, you should be making the playoffs regardless of the format of it. That's how it should be. If you're an NFL team, if there's a 6-team playoffs and you think you're that good of a team,
Not if you had that
you better
bad of a
play
start.
good. And if you don't have a good start, that sucks for you. That's how the game works. You can't be rewarded for doing good at the end. I understand if you're doing good at the end, that's great, but you can't. I mean, I understand your points completely. I understand how getting them into the playoffs would be more interesting to watch and whatever, but you can't just get to play good throughout the season. I think that's just my main point, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah,
I have a lot of points.
We just think, okay, if we see a team that's like, that's a good team, they deserve to be a playoff team. It's nice to see them
Then
actually
make it into the playoffs.
You
Not
have to
fair,
draw
though.
the line eventually. You can't just
Like,
say,
I
you
think
can't
this
just
is
let, yeah, this is good.
This is good. Right
This
here.
is good. No letting half the league in. The playoffs still have to mean something, which they still do. But also, I think that this 7-team, I don't think it does any harm. I think it gets more fan bases engaged, more meaningful games. And I think as a player, why wouldn't you like that extra window, that little increased opportunity, for you to be able to compete at the highest level? All it takes, you just got to get in. Like, honestly, you look at what the New York Giants did.
Exactly.
They were 9-7. There were probably people saying, "Oh, they'll be one and done easily." They went and won the Super Bowl against an undefeated team.
Guess what? They got in the other format, which was when then they ended up winning. Yet they deserve to get in a more harsh format.
But what goes to say that maybe years back there was a 7 seed that if they got in that they wouldn't have done that? It's all what ifs. But I think when it's all said and done, people will warm up to this
if
new
they weren't
format.
good enough, then they shouldn't be in the playoffs. I don't think they should have a chance at it. I don't think a team with. I mean, there could be seasons where a team with 8 wins somehow makes the playoffs and makes some sort of run. They don't deserve to be in the playoffs with this form. Like, it's just how if I'm talking like Joe Biden right now.
Oh my God.
If a team makes the playoffs with 8 wins, they don't deserve to be in the playoffs, and this could open it up to that. I don't remember how many wins the Steelers and the Rams had. I think
Rams
they might
had
have
9, Steelers had 8.
So a team with 8 wins could have made the playoffs and done something. I don't think the Steelers
But
actually would have
there's
done
also
something.
times
But they don't deserve it.
you could use this year as an example with the Steelers, but there's times, like Ryan said, 10-6 teams don't make it in. All right, let's wrap this video up here. We kind of just are starting to repeat ourselves. Thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and comment down below. What?
We didn't get through everything, did we?
We got through most of it.
We're doing a video on this. We didn't get to talk about all of it. But go ahead and finish the video.
All right, well, I guess we'll see you guys later.
See ya.